Hey everybody, it's Teresa. Welcome to my channel. I'm back. My lights are back on. Hooray! In case you didn't see the post I made on the community tab, I'm in Kentucky and we had some really, really bad storms and my power was out for like 18 hours. We were very fortunate though. We only had some really minor property damage. Some of my neighbors were not so fortunate and had some really bad property damage, but the worst part of it for me was just that I have to have oxygen when I sleep at night, and it's very dangerous for me to try to sleep without it. And of course, I couldn't use it because I had no power, so I had to force myself to sit up and stay awake the whole time. So that was the worst part for me, but that's nothing compared to what some people are going through. As far as I know, in my county, nobody was hurt. It was all just property damage, and I think I probably would know because I live in a really, really small county where everybody knows everybody. But I do understand that there were a few fatalities in some of the counties surrounding me, and I just really hate it for those families. I know they've got to be struggling. My heart goes out to them. That's just terrible. I just, a little bit of property damage and a sleepless night is nothing compared to what I know they've got to be going through, and my thoughts and prayers just really go out to them. Those of you that did see the community post and commented and sent me your thoughts and prayers, I really appreciate that. I read every single one of them to my husband. He really appreciates it too. You all are just the best. So enough of that. I've got a really, really super simple necklace that I'm going to string up today. I'm not really up for doing anything very complicated because I still have not slept much. I've slept some, but not a whole lot. I'm mixing beads from the Jesse James Beads Magical Mystery Box called Pirate Getaway and the GDC's Treasure Bag called Midnight Blue. These are beads from the Jesse James Beads box. Most of these beads are from the Siren Song of Rachel Wall mix. There's a few spacers in there that I think are from the Caribbean Escape strand. And these are the beads from Gina's bag. There's the 4mm round circle facet frosted black glass beads, the 6mm deep sky blue bicone crystal beads, a few of the 9x7 imitation Austrian crystal black, blue, and clear rondelle beads. I'm using a couple of the black and the blue ones, and the 8mm faceted sky blue cube beads. These are some daisy spacers from my stash, and this is some findings from my stash. I've got one of the little black beads I want to put as a dangle at the end of the extender chain, and some pieces of chain and a lobster clasp, a little head pin there to do the dangle with, a couple of 2x2 crimp tubes, and a couple of wire guardians, and a jump ring for the lobster clasp to hook onto. I think the reason I don't do a lot with gold, and I think it's because I can never find golds that match each other. Like these daisy spacers don't necessarily match that chain, and the chain doesn't necessarily match these spacers. And I don't know why that bothers me so, because I don't mind at all mixing metals, like mixing silver and gold and bronze. I don't mind that at all. But for some reason, not having the same colors of gold bothers me. But hopefully it'll all blend together and it'll be okay. The crimp tubes that I use are the Beetle-On crimp tubes. And I have this is some Extreme Flex, Soft Flex bead stringing wire in fine. It's champagne color. It's 0.14 inch diameter. I have a bunch of spools of this that I found a lot of these. There were like 6 or 7 spools on sale somewhere. I can't remember. It's been a long time, and that's why I have all these different, like Extreme Flex and Champagne and all this stuff. It doesn't. I just picked this because my findings are gold and this is Champagne, but it didn't really matter what color the bead stringing wire is. By the time you get all the beads on it, you're not able to see the bead stringing wire anyway. I could have used any color. I could have used silver, but I just thought I'd use this because I had it. I've got my bead stoppers, and I've got my chain nose pliers, and both pairs of my bent chain nose pliers. These are I got these from BB Craft many years ago, and these are Xuron. These are the very sharp 90-degree angle ones. They have some Xuron bent nose pliers that are more like this, that are not such a sharp angle. I'll as much as I can find them, I will try to put links to everything I'm using in the description box below. And they have some Xuron ones that are more like this, and I'll put a link to them in there too. I've got my round nose pliers that I got from BB Craft many years ago. I've got my Xuron tweezer pliers. I've got my Beetle-On crimping pliers. And I've got both pairs of my Xuron cutters. I use one pair for bead stringing wire and the other pair for to cut craft wire and head pins and eye pins and things like that. I try to only use one pair of cutters for my bead stringing wire, because if your cutters are not really sharp, it won't cut the bead stringing wire. And these are a dull pair that I've had for a long time, but they will still cut craft wire and head pins and all that. So that's what I use them for. I've got my little New Orleans shot glass to put my little pieces of wire in when I cut them off. I'll just be using that at the end when I do the little dangle for the extender chain. I think I said in maybe the last video that he was getting full of wires and I needed to empty him, and I've not done that yet. But, you know, my lights have been out. I couldn't see, so I need to do that, though. I think that's everything. Let me get some of that out of the way and I'll be back. Okay, I've got all my beads poured out in a big old mess here. And I'm going to string this up. I've already, I'm working off the spool like I do when I have my pattern already worked out. And I've got my pattern already worked out because I had to do that ahead of time because, like I said, my mind's not working all that clearly. So I'm going to do 3 of these little black beads. And then 3 of my bicones. And 3 more of my little black beads. And then I'm going to do a daisy spacer. These are the ones that came out of my stash. And a cube bead. And a daisy spacer. And a cube bead. And a daisy spacer. And a cube bead. And a daisy spacer. And one of these black rondelle beads, and a daisy spacer, and then 2 of these blue rondelle beads, and then this is one of the daisy spacers that was in the mix, and then a big lava bead here. And then I'm going to use this, I think they call them potato chip beads. I'm going to put it facing that way. And then I'm going to put one of these oval beads on there so that it kind of caps that a little bit. Then I'm going to do one of these rhinestone spacers and an oval bead and a rhinestone spacer and an oval bead and a rhinestone spacer and an oval bead. And that's going to be the center part of my necklace, these 4. oval beads. And then I'm just going to go back the same way. I'm going to do this potato chip bead facing toward the oval bead. And then I'm going to do my big lava bead and the daisy spacer that came in the mix. And then 2 of these blue crystals. I need to move my stop bead up. I'm getting too much on here. So 2 of these little crystals. Not little, they're pretty big crystals. 1 of my daisy spacers. A black crystal. 1 of my daisy spacers. Cube bead. A daisy spacer. Cube bead. Daisy spacer. Cube bead. Daisy spacer. 3 of the little black beads. Move my stop bead up again, bead stopper up again over here. Three of my back cones. And 3 of my little black beads. So that's what I've got. So now I'm going to get ready to crimp. Okay, I'm ready to crimp now. Oop, get my camera to focus. Okay, I'm going to take my crimp bead, put it on here. I'm going to take my wire guardian, and I'm going to go back through the other channel of my wire guardian. Back through my crimp tube. Keep my wires from crossing. Because if your wires get crossed in there, your crimp is very likely to fail. Believe me, I know. I'm going to squish my crimp tube in just a little bit. Hold my wires apart and push my crimp bead up there. Take my crimpers. I'm going to go into the second part. It's got the little divot on one side and the little notch on the other side. And I'll lay my crimp in there. Get it to turn around here and cooperate like I want it to. Make sure there's no wire coming out the top of your little wire guardian here. Lay my little crimp tube in there and squeeze. Turn it to 90-degree angle, and that puts each of your little wires in its own separate little channel there. Now I'm going to go to the top part of the crimpers here that has the little divots on both sides, and I'll lay my crimp in there and fold my crimp, and I'm going to tug. That's good. I'm going to take my cutters and cut off my extra wire. Now I'm going to do the same thing on this other end. Cut it off my spool. Let's see, I'm going to take my other crimp tube, my other wire guardian, come back down through the other channel of the wire guardian, back through the crimp tube, and if I can on this side, I like to try to go through a bead or two. I gotta make sure my wires are not crossed, and they're trying to be. Take that back out and do it again. I definitely don't want my wires to be crossed. Go in this channel. Go in the crimp tube. Pull my wires out. Make sure they're not crossed. And on this side, I try to go through a bead or two because it just helps get my hands out of the way when I'm trying to crimp. It's a little bit harder to do on this side. Okay, I'm going to hold on to my wire guardian and pull my wire down. Keep it from getting crossed. I'm going to squish my wire guardian in just a little bit. I want to pull everything. I don't want there to be any slack in my strand, but I don't want it to be really tight either because I want it to be able to drape well. So, I'm going to take my crimping pliers and I'm going to go in that second part of the crimpers again and lay my crimp in there. Squeeze. Turn it 90 degrees. Lay it in the top part of the crimping pliers and fold my crimp. Tug. And that's good. So now I'm going to cut my extra wire. That's what I've got now. So now I'm going to put my findings on here. Let me see which chains here I'm using for what. I've got a couple of these are, I think they're about 4 inches, these little pieces of chain here I've got. And I've got my lobster and my jump ring. And then I have another little piece of the same chain here. It's about 2 inches. I'm going to use that to be an extender chain. I'm going to take my chain nose pliers and my bent chain nose pliers, and since this chain is big and the link's open, I'm just going to open the link at the end here and thread on my one side of my necklace and close it back up. Make sure it's closed really well. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. And now I'm going to go to the ends of my chain. And I'm going to take my jump ring this is an 8mm jump ring. I'm going to put it on here. And I'm going to put my little piece of extender chain on here. close it up. I'm going to take just going to take the end of my chain here. Find the last link and open it up. Put my lobster on here. Close it up real well. Just hook them together. There's what I got so far. Now I'm going to make my little dangle to go on the end here. I'm going to take my head pin here. And I think I said in the previous video, these head pins, I got these off Amazon. You get quite a few of them for the price. Ball head pins can be kind of expensive. They come fairly bent though when you get them, but that's really not a big deal because once you get, I only use them for dangles, and once you get your bead on there and do your wraps, you know, you're not going to, it not being straight's not going to matter. So I'm going to put my little bead on there. I'm going to take my pliers here and I'm going to go to the very end of the pliers because I don't want to have a really big long neck, because the longer neck you have, the more wraps you have to do. So I'm going to bend my pliers at a 90-degree angle over the tool. Take my round nose pliers, put them in the crook of the bend, round nose pliers facing me. I'm going to bend the wire back until it hits the bead. Rotate the pliers till they're facing the table. Hold really tight. Take this part and bend it back up here until it hits the bottom of the pliers. Cock it back a little to center it over the bead. Center your loop over the bead. I'm going to take one pair of my bent chain nose pliers. I'm going to hold on to my loop really tight so it won't get out of shape. I'll take my other pair of bent chain nose pliers and start wrapping. I want to try to get that first wrap good and tight. And I'm just going to keep wrapping until I fill up that space. Now I'm going to take my cutters and cut off my extra wire. I'm going to take my crimping pliers and I'm going to use the rounded at the end part of the crimping pliers and tuck in my little burr that was left when I cut my wire off. And now I'm going to take my 2 pairs of pliers and I'm just going to open this link on the end of my extender chain. And thread my little dangle on. Close it back up. And there we go, I'm done. So, let me get some of my tools and all this out of the way and I'll try to get it laid out pretty and I'll be back. So there we go, there it is, all done. Just a really, really super simple necklace, but really all that I'm up for today. As always, thank you all so much for joining me today. I really appreciate those of you who have subscribed to my channel and watched my videos and liked and commented on my videos. I have a website where I sell my jewelry. It's Teresa's Handmade Jewelry, and I'll put a link to it in the description box below in case you're interested, along with a link to my Facebook and Instagram and my email. If you haven't, I'd really love it if you'd subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified when I upload a new video. So until next time, I hope you all have a great day. Take care.